before the show, when we were playing your music, Holden was taking notice of the fact that you
Yeah.
were early on clips and like
Bro, half of your shit
shorts
shows up like a
on.
YouTube short right now, as if you uploaded it with the shorts feature back there. It's like, just, I'm like, wait, that says 2 years ago. Why is this shit a fucking short? This doesn't make sense. How did MADD ILLZ break the system and have shorts before? So you, like, it goes live, and your YouTube channel's like, I was literally built for this shit. I'm like, fuck me. Like
I'm
you
waiting
have
for
an
motherfuckers
entire
to catch up.
catalog of fucking TikTok music just sitting there. I'm like, I'm wilding, like, cause I'm watching people shave songs down to a minute and blow up on TikTok, and it's I'm not there yet. I'm not a 1 minute guy like that, but like I'm watching people, and it's like a full song. It's just a little 1 minute, and then they do these videos to go with it, and I'm just like, yo, this is really gonna be a thing. Plus, you make more money on Spotify with a 1 minute song than you do with a 2 minute song.
Yeah.
So you're,
I started doing like songwriting like challenges, and they were like daily. So that's how I ended up with a bunch of short clips, because I choose a random beat. Sometimes it would be like a love song, sometimes it'd be a rap song, sometimes it'd be whatever. I had to write to it. So then I just started developing like songwriting off of these drills and doing these like 1 minute shorts, you know?
it's, it's
Ahead of time.
you know what I
So,
mean?
but
Like,
that also explains why you would want to get back the battles to minute rounds.
yeah, because to me,
Yeah.
I'm like,
It was just into the short. It was just like, look, man, keep that shit short and sweet.
I was
Cut
watching
that
your
shit off.
battles, and I was looking at these Scribble Jam things, and I'm like, the whole thing is 2 minutes, and y'all just back and forth. It's 2 rounds when it's 2 minutes, and I'm like,
I mean, listen, I was telling him that like I was just watching the Disaster and Assassino battle, and that well, before I watched it, I was just curious, and so like I YouTube searched Assassino versus, and like I discover this world of fucking like Red Bull arena fucking battles on beats, essentially taking it back to that shit and in front of like crowds and shit. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
Batallas de
yo,
los Gallos.
that looks like the shit that you were the shit that he was playing that you were doing back then. You know what I'm saying? Like on stage, two mics, on beats, keep going. I mean, theirs is a little bit more structured now with the rounds and shit, but like, like
yeah, no,
the back and
that was
forth.
still wild. But for me, it's also like the 30 seconds. But that's the thing, is you got to then be concise. Whereas when you do watch one of these 3 round fucking giant verses, it's basically like an orchestra of bars put together. It's a super different experience. It's like one of them is like a
Yeah.
TV show, and one of them is like a Marvel movie.
Like, think about it. In 30 seconds, you can get what,
I
like
like
12
that.
bars off? That's a setup punch, six fucking punchlines, drilling you with six. Like, if you can hit all six, remember
Well,
Swan?
you're thinking your rap pattern style, right? So like somebody else
Well, you
might
can
not.
punch and punch, you know, so, but like, this is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like,
you
remember,
could in
like
12
Swan
bars. You
or Recognize, if you go and look back at like how they were battling, where they do the setup punch type shit, like, yo,
yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
need that much to get to the point on your opponent, especially
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
could, you know, because look at like a guy like Disaster when he raps long, like he cycles through three different styles repeatedly. Like he'll play like he's talking to the audience, he'll do some sort of a different voice, and then he'll get into being aggressive, then he'll go funny, then he'll do the same shit again, and it's like, I got it the first time around. Like, let's see what the other guy got. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like it being all drawn out.
No,
I don't even
You're not
watch
a
the
fan.
ones anymore
You know,
because I don't
for
want to watch.
me,
I don't want to watch that long battle.
I can see the benefits of both. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like I've seen a couple, I've seen enough um, long round bar battles that I'm like, okay, you know what? It benefited because they got more and more cooking. You know what I mean? As it
But
kept going.
think about
Um,
this though. think about this, right? Because think about what you are when you're at these battles, these amazing battles that they throw, even the best battles that have been thrown, these URL ones or whatever.
Right.
At one point, I mean, we're all an audience member, and from going to a million of these and throwing a million of these everywhere, halfway through the event, motherfuckers get tired.
Facts.
And there's no way to break that up. There's never any way to break that up. By the time they're at the end, they are fucking tired. Even though they want to see this battle that's been mounting, like, motherfuckers are tired doing that. So, like, my thing is, like, there's got to be a different way to present it live than to just be like, all right, guys, we're gonna have
what's interesting?
Battles, and they're all 10 minutes long. Like, come on.
I went through that experience just I went to my first rap battle, and I can tell you something. When the main event kicked in after watching 4 battles, and they were like really like back to back to back, right? Like they tried really hard. I had a lot of trouble caring about the last battle. It wasn't like I didn't care. It was just like, whew, this is a lot of battling. Each one was 3 rounds. I think there were 2 minutes maybe.
Because like no matter if it's whack or not, at some point in time, because of the energy in the room, it'll raise your anxiety levels. So it's going to drain. It's going to literally fucking drain you to sit there and watch somebody. You know, but if you do 30-second rounds over a beat, by the time you think someone is whack, they're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got to be like, fuck, I got to sit through another 3.5 minutes of this motherfucker.
Yeah. So I can see how that point like comes across too. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a way to mix that shit up because sometimes these like daylight battles and stuff are highly enthralling, and I would really like to watch these long, elongated presentations. But then the other side of it's still also dope.
It's definitely there. There's a market for it. You know, it's good that there is one. When like there was a problem, there wasn't battle leagues back then. You know, so like these are good.
I'm old enough to remember when grind time first came around, feeling of and speaking as a New Yorker, right? Like having this feeling of like, oh shit, I wonder how long battle rap will stick around now. You know, because like before then it was like we got to have the Blaze battles on HBO, and then it went away from like mainstream media. And then it came back and was like on, I don't know if it was Fight Club that came first or 106 in Park that had the Freestyle Fridays first. But I think it was Fight Club came first. But and then like that went away. And then, matter of fact, I think Fight Club went away. And then later on, after Grind Time got cracking is when Freestyle Friday came along or something like that.
Yeah,
but the point is, or it might have been before it came back. I forget what. But the point is that it was a very up and down relationship with battle rap and like the mainstream. And like ever since Grind Time, battle rap has become essentially mainstream, and it hasn't stopped. You know what I mean? Like it's a part of the culture. It's its own subgenre within the culture. It's its own.
I think I think it should be like it should be pushed outwardly by the bigger artists in the culture versus like everybody being a fan of the Battle League. Like, why doesn't Method Man say, hey, or Wu-Tang say, hey, we're gonna do a Wu-Tang Battle League. We're just gonna get 20 MCs. We're gonna handpick them. What if Wyclef said, I'm gonna get 20 MCs? What if fucking Jay-Z said, I'm gonna get 20 MCs? What if Nas said, I'm gonna get my 20 MCs? It's gonna be the Nas League. And like, what if all of the big artists that were out there who had the fucking bread to just like pick up 20 MCs and do a fucking league and then have them battle each other. Do you know how much crazier motherfuckers would be into on battle rap?
Yeah,
I would be very,
you
like,
talk
because
about
yo,
some like
then it would
Rucker.
be
That sounds like
mainstream.
some Rucker shit. That
because
sounds
that
like some
sounds
Rucker shit.
like
That shit would
yo.
be
Now all of
hard.
a sudden, I'm gonna have my favorite rapper, but now it's
Yeah,
like a
nah, it's
team
like a team.
sport. And then
Yeah,
these
it's a team
leagues would
sport.
battle each
Yeah,
other at different. You could have Jay-Z versus
yeah,
Nas at like a fucking their battle teams. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would
yeah,
be sick. Like
yeah.
then you have huge ass versus battle events
Word.
where you have these artists versus each other and the warm up is these like battle. Like that would be fucking interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
That would
I
be
mean,
that would
fire.
but
be motherfucker shit. Drake
they
should have a
have.
Drake battle league.
Yes, he should. They have been more vocal and more lending their fame a little bit to battle rap, but it still is a serious leap that could be made to make it actually mainstream. Right
Yeah.
now, it's just like that thing that everybody's aware of, that's in the now, in the know, and like if you catch it, like your favorite person, the rapper that like has a hit might like show up at like a URL or KOTD event and like post a Instagram story for a day about being there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you got to hope that the fans really love them so much that they're that curious about that thing that they weren't curious about before. So there is definitely a major step that could be made for
Facts.
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we are definitely in a way, like it keeps on evolving, and the fact that it's still around now from where it was then, and like the question mark before that, like we weren't. Like as a New York guy, I wasn't aware of Scribble Jam or like a lot of those like what's the not Scribble Jam? What's the missing tapes?
Yeah.
WRCs.
Oh, WRCs. Yeah.
I wasn't aware about none of that, bro. When I first saw Grind Time New York and Jay's Juice was there, and I forgot what other two white rappers were there, I was offended. I was like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You know how many years I've been in these streets putting in this work? Like, nah, fuck out of here. But it was because a lot of us in New York still didn't really fuck with the internet like that. We were in the streets every day, and like we had two-way pagers and Nextels, but like the internet wasn't really like uh where we were going. I didn't even when Smack first put that Math Hoffa Iron Solomon first round on the DVD, and then was like, oh, head to whatever was the smack.com or whatever back then. I was like, I didn't watch the rest of the battle because I was just like, who the fuck has the internet? Like, I'm in these streets, bro. I'm in these streets. I'm moving. Like, we was the trap, and like literally nobody had a computer. You know what I mean? Like, it was all hood dudes with no computers. Like, and we were not aware. Like, mind you, there were people who did have computers. Let me not paint this picture like no hood motherfucker in New York had computers, because Poison Pen is certified. You know what I mean? And he was on the internet heavy and throwing events and was very well aware of all this. You know what I'm saying? But I was not, and there was a lot of guys that I know personally that were in the streets of New York City that also did not. I remember us watching that DVD on the DVD, right, and being like, "Oh well," like, "Oh well." I guess we're not watching the rest of that battle. That first round was fire, and us arguing about who won the battle off of the first round that was
funny.
on the DVD, and not watching the rest of the battle. And that was like it, like that, like it was a foregone conclusion that the first round was like the decider of the battle. We just all decided on the block, like, and it's not like we're talking about some nobody block. We're talking about like Peter Guns' block. You know what I mean? And like his son Corey is like looking up to like my homies who are like, you know, arguing about, you know, like this is what I'm talking about. And we like it just so happened that nobody had computers. So like we didn't know about WRCs. We didn't know, you know, there's like all these people that are part of like the street New York City underground scene, you know what I mean? That are
Yeah.
like moving in a way of like, yo, what? We're the creators of this shit. Who are all these people online? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Where do these championships come from? Who sanctioned this? You know?
That's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah.
but it's I really do feel like it to bring it all back. I really
When
do
did
feel
we
like
meet? When was the first time we met?
we met in person at that at the no, I think that we met a couple of didn't you come up here for a few events once
Yeah, I came up
we
there.
had we had the sponsorship with something, and I think you came up here for um I think it was pretty early. PH was still president back then, I think, if I'm not mistaken. um
Cause I came out there and did the first one, and we
nah,
had
I wasn't at the first one. Sarah was early, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
and then
um
we had some that were like we had one at Fat Beats. We had the
Yeah, that was what I got offended at. I got offended at SoCon and Cortez. I was like, what the fuck are these guys? I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'll watch both these motherfuckers right now, bro. Like, are you kidding me? Sarah was putting me on to grind time and like telling me about everything that she was getting cracking with PH and you guys, you know, and direct and like I was just offended. I was like, what is this? I'm on the streets of West Fort down by the fucking where motherfuckers play ball, where everything is cracking. I'm in the streets of the city battling everybody. Like I never heard of these guys. I was like, but then I'm like, then I get in it and I'm like, this is a whole different world. Holy shit! Like this is not the same thing as what we were doing freestyling lives. Like once the cameras like and the footage was like definitively coming out and like the mixing of the written and the freestyles were happening, it was like this is a very different bag. You know what I mean? Like it was
yeah.
way different than like freestyling on the corner of West Fourth and like just like making fun of a motherfucker's outfit head to toe and like getting the crowd to laugh at them and shit. Like it was very, very different, you know. But I did feel like because I remember being at Fight Club and being one of those early dudes in New York City that was like everybody in New York City was coming to battle with written rhymes for like mixtapes and like video magazines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it was like they had these like preset 16s and they'd be like, you know, and I boom, blow off your fitted, and I'd be standing there like, bro, is you kidding me? Like I clearly have no fitted on my head. What are you talking to me about right now? You know what I mean? And like just like fucking going off the top, like just fucking dozens. You know what I'm saying? Talking shit. And like that was a thing that like I was one of the like me, Sarah, a lot of our group of friends, we were the first ones really doing that. You know what I mean? So like when I saw that it was happening other places, I was like, no. And then you know that the ego comes into play, and it's like, wait, were they doing this before me? Like, no, but I didn't even know that they existed. I didn't steal nothing from nobody. I watched everybody. Like, what are we talking about? You know, ego, young ego shit, right? Like, but getting back to it all, you guys really did fucking birth what it is now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like a lot of shit still sticks around. Pay-per-view events. You know what I mean? Like we did that with Grind Time East Coast. You know what I mean? Like we brought that first pay-per-view
Yep.
to the table and pay-per-view became the thing for like wild years. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh no, for real, it had a huge impact. So like, as far as like the grind time era, right? So you're running it down in Orlando with Direct.
Yeah. So hold on one second. Let me plug in my
No
charger
worries.
here.
You went blue though for a second, and I'm gonna have to say you're the first person to turn blue on our show.
Oh, that's my light.
Yeah, the lighting went different.
Yeah, because if I don't turn on my regular light, you see my true colors. Some Dr. Manhattan type shit. um, we didn't get. I think we had New York. Did we have New York before we brought California into the mix? I don't remember.
I thought that you guys already had. I thought that Cali was like in early and we were like late last.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it was, because I remember California and New York were definitely our number one targets to have this thing explode. We had had to break into those markets. Lush was talking to Direct, and he originally was supposed to be just like a chapter president type person. And then at the end of his video where he battles unorthodox phrases, he says like, and I'm the one of the owners or some stupid shit. Like whatever he says, like that wasn't like agreed upon at that moment. He just like blurted that shit out. And then Direct told me like, oh yeah, this guy wants to be a part of this. So at first I was just like, man, who the fuck is this dude doing this, man? Like this is corny. But I specifically remember New York was a matter of, we need to get into this market. Frankie Waps and Jay's Juice already had proven that they would fly out to Orlando. They would fly out to the West Coast. They were active in the battle community. They were gonna put in work. So we had him come down to battle Johnny Storm, and they battled over here at a park downtown called Lake Eola. And that was kind of like the battle where we said, hey, he's going to be running the New York division, because we were at that, when we were blowing up on World Star, we were getting people saying like, hey, like when are y'all coming out here? Whatever. And we already knew we wanted to be there. So it was just a matter of reaching out to our friends, all the people that I met at Scribble Jam and known for throughout the years. It was kind of just like a matter of like calling each area and be like, hey, we want to do this. Hey, we want to do this. And then we started opening them up in as many cities as we could.
Word. Yeah, nah, definitely. Because it initially, I think, was just it was just the 4 divisions. And like I said, I think like New York came on last, but it was 4 divisions, and then it blew up, and it was like, it was wild divisions. I think there was like,
there was Grind Time Boston, there was the Upstate division, and Minneapolis. Then Atlanta came into the mix. Then we had a Texas one. We had 2 different Texas. We had Houston and we had like Dallas at one point. Then there was the Oregon chapter. Like there was.
That's wild.
It was. We had at one point, we were in every major city in the United States.
Yeah.
Then we had Sydney, Australia. We had the Australia chapter division.
Oh yeah,
that's
there
huge.
was like an Australia.
And then we also had Johannesburg, South Africa. And those battles never got put out. Yeah, they were battling like in a fucking village, but it didn't go off that well, so we didn't put it out. But yeah, like we were fucking everywhere, man.
That's super amazing. And like you're doing this because you got to keep in mind, like just in culture for anybody listening, like now when we talk about being everywhere, it's like whatever. You can hit up a motherfucker on Facebook and it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. These guys be doing this shit in like an innovative capacity where they may be some of the first people to be pushing international brands in a franchisable. You guys basically created a franchisable model for
this was in the MySpace page days, the MySpace days.
But you guys did it at an international scalable way in that era where it wasn't like you could read 18 books on this shit. This shit is like you guys paved the like, because like I'm wildly into this geeky side of this shit. Like, it's so fucking cool, and even just the idea of creating a franchisable model like that, it's like fucking stuff I want to do now. But like, you guys are doing it before the knowledge. But like, that's huge for me, right?
Yeah, no,
Because like,
you guys pioneered the internet battle league. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like before that, it did not exist.
all
You
of
know,
it, and then
like
like,
so.
it's just
Yeah,
really impressive, I guess is what I'm saying. At like every level of like the business side of it and just the cultural side of it, right? Because there are gonna be people that I'm like, yo, I got to interview MADD ILLZ, and it's gonna mean something to them. And like that's a like, you know, it's cool. Like, that kind of stuff is why I really like doing this show, is because it's like I get to see your history, but like frankly I don't know a whole lot of it beforehand, so it's like, damn, you are like, you're that dude. You know, like, it's fun.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we every opportunity that I could get to try to expand somewhere, I was pushing it. Like, okay, so you were firsthand, you were a witness to all of this shit. So like, I was I was trying to get Grind Time Now as a program into a program at the UN called Music is a Natural Resource. It's a high level workshop at the UN that the head composer from the New York Composers League goes to. The guy that scores the Oscars and Grammys and shit like that, like, goes to it. There's all of these, like, the guy who invented guitars in the classroom by teaching kids through song, he goes to that. So I wanted to do this shit so bad, and I was able to get into. I was introduced via one of Just One's homie, or Guerrilla Republic. I think it was Just One's homie, and they had an organization that was able to like bring me along and be a part of it. And I was trying to like, but when I was doing that, I was getting like backlash from battle rappers at that point for like trying to do different shit. Like, I never got that. Like, why
that's
did that
weird.
happen? Like, why did that ever
That's
happen?
Because
Like,
people be
that's
and they
mad
would
weird
clown
because
me. They
possessive.
would clown me for like you saw King of the Dot did a whole fucking like spoof on some interview I had got at Scribble Jam when we had the last year of Scribble Jam, when we had opened up Grind Time. Somebody was interviewing me for their video, and they were like, what do you want to do with Grind Time and like the future of battle rap? And I was like, I just want to battle everywhere. I want us to go everywhere. Like, shit, you'll see us in a hot air balloon. And for years, motherfuckers made jokes about that. And then like, I think the Saurus went and battled a dude in a hot air balloon, and they're like dissing me because of it. But like, they got hella views off of that shit. That shit was so
No, that was.
entertaining. It was
I
just
actually
like,
watched
get
that
it.
battle very recently.
that's
That whole battle
hilarious.
was a parody to say fuck Mad
Um,
Hills.
just so that you know, so like a little bit of context, like we give all this fucking origin story behind who's like us two getting together. But like when we got together, right, and started doing this interview series, like Holden is from Montreal, you
Yeah.
know, I'm from New York, and Holden's not, he's
All right.
completely unaware of battle rap
So basically, let me
before
put it like this.
our
Somebody
like
on my Patreon got me to review the movie Bodied. And up until the moment I watched Bodied, battle rap was something I did not understand. I found it, it was negative. It wasn't my cup of tea, you could say. I didn't understand. But then I will never forget
I'm the
watching.
only guy who should have been in there
Canadian
that
thing.
wasn't in there.
But like, so I watched that shit, and I won't forget watching XO's X Hoes pop up on screen, and it was like, oh. And then like I watched the movie, and it really explains to middle class white people what the fuck battle rap's about extremely well. It spoke right to my soul, and I was, but that like was not even that long before. It was maybe 6 months, max a year before we started doing this show, right? So I saw that movie, and it helped me understand the culture of battle rap in a way where, like, maybe gun bars is better than personals. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good point. You know, so it was a bunch of that shit. And then it was like, I was able to approach it with like the kind of open mind that like you would have. But then it was like, so you need to Google Iron Solomon. Go.
Yeah, Iron. Yeah, I leaned heavy, of course, on the homies right here.
AM Boogie.
Yes, AM Boogie, right? From EO Dub and like fucking Hami,
Holden,
Team Hami.
that was Iron
Right.
Solomon's name.
Yeah, I think as he said it, I'm like, no,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense
yeah, he
because
said it.
we interviewed him, and I feel like I'd heard that name before, but that's like, it was a blessing, right? Because I didn't know who the fuck he was. I know, I mean, I watched
Yeah, he
him,
didn't.
and then like
He
people were
didn't know.
excited about the interview coming. He had an man. The picture he sent me looked exactly like what I would look like in 10 years, and that shit fucked me up a little bit too. It was like, oh, and so. But like, yeah, no, it was a blessing. But then then like Bones Brigante came and other names, Poison Pen ended up coming, all these people, and so now I'm googling every week, watching battles, learning a little bit here and there about. Cause I gotta figure out battle rap at the same. You can't be talking to these people and I have to watch your battles at least one. Like I can't be like walking in and not knowing a thing about you. That's just rude.